Any apologies, please?
You need to unmute yourself, Liz.
Right, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yep.
We've got apologies from Glyn Barker and Bernie Feeney because they're having problems with their Wi-Fi. Michael Pogson's mother's had a fall and he's gone to see her, and I haven't had any other apologies.
Thank you very much. Members' interests in the agenda. Written request for new DPI dispensations. Anything on that one? Thank you very much. To receive officers' interest in items on the agenda. Clear on that one? Thank you.
I've got nothing.
Okay. To consider whether any items on the agenda should be discussed in private. No? No comments on that one, thank you. To confirm the minutes of the previous council meeting. This is the one held on the 1st of June. Any comments on that one, please? Okay, thank you very much. And now we're looking at to confirm the committee minutes under delegated powers. It was deferred from the original agenda.
Tom's wanting,
23rd of the 3rd.
Tom's wanting to speak, councillor.
Is it?
Yeah.
There we are. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, Chair, somebody needs to propose and second the minutes for the full council.
Okay, I can bear you away, Tom.
Yeah.
What we're looking at proposal and a second for the full council meetings.
Yeah, yeah. I'll propose.
Okay. Do we have that, please? Rachel, yep, fine. Thank you very much, Pat.
With the vote.
Right. And we're now looking at the committee minutes under delegated powers. First one is the cask meeting of the 27th of January.
Oh, sorry. Trevor, you need to unmute yourself. Sorry, I've just muted everybody. I think this is too fiddly, Liz, where I'm muting and unmuting people.
Cask meeting.
Right, that's it. Right. Okay.
27th of the 1st. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I'd just like to propose that we accept the minutes of the cask meeting numbered 1920-52 and 1920-63.
Yep, thank you very much. Go ahead, Pat. Oh, I can see you saying something. But that's better. So I could see you saying something, but I couldn't hear anything. Yep. Okay with that one. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we need to vote on it.
Yep. Are we looking for? Can we show of hands, please? Okay. Thank you. The next two are both planning ones, Judith.
Yeah, can I ask the committee to support the planning committee numbered 1920-153 to 1920-164 inclusive. That was held on the 27th of the 1st and on the 10th of the 2nd, 2020, numbered 1920-165 to 1920-176. Those were sent as draft minutes of the planning, and I hope that be accepted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can someone confirm and second, please?
I'll second that.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Could I also just add a little bit to that, please?
Go ahead.
Over the time, we seem to just have a chosen few who decide to come on Zoom on the planning meeting, of which there are several members who are missing for various wards who have at the beginning said that they would come on as on the planning, and unfortunately that's not happening, and it leaves an awful lot of extra work for those who are not on in their correct areas. If I could just remind people, please, that it does say at the beginning, you are summoned.
Okay, thank you for that. We now have item 4 on this one is pubs and comms to be confirmed, if we can, please.
Yeah, can I propose confirm the minutes from the 10th of February, number 1920 to 51 up to 66, please?
Thank you very much. Can we confirm that one, please? Show of hands if you would. Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we're now on to staffing. Item 5 is staffing committee, 24th of February. Is down there?
Yes,
Yep, there she is.
can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
I was absent at this meeting, but could I ask that the minutes are accepted by the committee for the staffing committee that was done on the 24th of February, number 1920 51 to 1920 59 inclusive.
Yep.
Well,
Can we confirm that one, please? Show of hands if you would. Thank you very much indeed. And item 6 on this one is minutes of the grant working party of the 24th of February.
I think you can miss that one, Trevor, because I was going to have an agenda item and I knocked it off. So
Okay.
just forget that for now.
Thank you very much. And we're down to the last one on this list, which is finance and management, 2nd of the 3rd.
Mr. Chairman, accept the minutes of the finance and management from the 2nd of the 3rd, numbered 1920 74 to 1920 98 inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Can we confirm, please? Sure. Yep. Thank you very much indeed. And with 2 more, which were council meetings held online. It's the council meeting of the 1st of June, the last one we had.
You've done that one, Trevor, because we did that first. Sorry.
Oh, all right. Okay. Yes,
So
of
move on
course.
to the next one.
And climate emergency meeting, 8th of June. If you can confirm that, please.
Yeah, I'd like to propose that we accept the meetings, the climate emergency meeting on the 8th of June, numbered 2021-01 to 2021-14 inclusive.
Okay, thank you very much. And can we have a show, please? Lovely, thank you very much. And we've just 2 more to finish with now. Planning committee on the 15th of June.
Can I ask that the council accept the planning comments, which were numbered 2021-01 to 2021-13. These were draft minutes of the planning applications, which were held on the 15th of the 6th, 2020, and ask that they be adopted.
Yes, thank you for that. Can we confirm, please? Yep, thank you very much. And a cask meeting, 22nd of June, please, if you can.
Yep. I'd like to propose that the committee accepts the CASCA minutes numbered 2021-01 to 2021-29.
Right, thank you for that. Are we show of hands on that one, please, if we're all happy with it?
Mr. Chairman, I've not received communication for that, and as I have been told, there's some excessive amounts of money being spent. I wonder on what authority, and I'd like to see what came out of that. The minutes have not been sent to me.
Okay. Are you happy if we arrange to make a full set available to you?
Yes, but I think everybody should be made aware that they're spending more than what they should. At this time, we shouldn't be spending anything.
Okay, I think we all got that, did we? So we'll make sure you get a a proper copy of those minutes.
Yes, please.
Is that agreeable? Everyone
Okay.
happy with that as a resolve for the moment? Thank you.
Can we confirm the minutes, please?
Yeah. Is everyone happy with Tom's minutes there, please?
Yes, I can do.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yes, Sean, go ahead.
I was just going to say I would second what Tom is proposing. It's already voted on, so it's okay.
All right. Thank you. Right. We're now on to payments and finances. Is to consider a payment of £1,000 to the Civic Hall Community Trust for a deep clean of the hall before reopening following the COVID virus. A further note to that, we allocate 15,000 set aside for the Civic Hall regarding the COVID virus. They've had 4,000, now looking for another 1,000, which obviously will leave us a 10,000 10,000 on one side set aside for them if we should need it later on. And see a hand up. Oh, Jason, go ahead.
Yeah, can I propose that, please?
Yep. Thank you very much. Have we a seconder then, please? Thank you, Sean.
Can I please ask, is this £1,000 for, will it also include the deep clean for the parish council officers?
I would certainly hope so, but we'll make sure that does occur.
Thank you.
I've already said that we don't really want it for the council offices, that we do that for ourselves. Obviously the meeting room will be done, but not the office.
Yeah. Okay, we can
Can
set.
I ask why that isn't happening with the office?
Well, the only people who are using it are Rich and not myself, and we've organised to do the cleaning ourselves and make sure that we're in on different days. So we'd rather have it as we know it's safe.
So you will do a risk assessment, will you, on that situation?
Yeah, we've done that already.
Right. Well.
Okay, so are we okay with that?
Can I just make a comment on that, please?
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't do this. I think it should be announced for ourselves to do the cleaning of the office, because there's private information there that should be not made to the public. And, you know, if you deep clean like that, you know, we don't want strangers going into the office. So I think Liz is right by saying she'll do it herself. It's done properly. So private information is not going to wrong hands.
Okay, we'll go with that one. I think we're all in agreement that in the inner office for our clerk and deputy clerk, there's delicate information in and about part of that building, so it makes sense. I think on our part. Everyone happy with that as a way to go? Thank you. Next item is to note the payment schedules for February, March, and May.
Chair, I think Councillor Firth wanted to say something, and we haven't voted on the £1,000, which we need to do.
Sorry, I hadn't seen him there. The £1,000 payment for Civic Hall for the deep clean. Are we happy with that? I say we have the money set aside.
So
if we're happy to pay that.
By Jason, proposed by Jason, who seconded it?
I can second it for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Sorry, Tom, I couldn't hear you then. I know you were talking. Thank you very much for that.
Councillor Firth, did you want to say something?
Councillor Firth. Councillor Firth. Clearly not hearing us. Oh, he's sticking his hand up. But Councillor Firth, your comment, please. Councillor Firth. No.
Yes, darling. I don't know. I assume that Councillor Bellamy is running this meeting. May I just give an Yeah, I'm commenting now. I shouldn't be on. I'm not on mute according to this. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Can now, yes.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. We couldn't previously, Donald, nothing.
Can I, just to make an observation, if Councillor Bellamy is running this meeting, he needs to mute all the microphones and just to mute the ones he wants to speak, because everybody's speaking over the top of one another. Everybody's speaking over the top of one another, and it really needs one person or two people, Trevor and whoever else at a time. We don't need them all, because I've lost altogether the way it's going, and I am on a pretty rocky thing here. My broadband is not very good, I'm afraid. It keeps coming and going, so I may disappear occasionally. Simple as that. But please, you know, I'm muting my microphone now, and I'll wait till I'm told to unmute.
Yep. Yes, well,
Can I just say something about that, Chairman, please?
Yeah.
So we tried that at the beginning, but it's so time consuming, asking people to mute and unmute themselves, that we've gone back to how we did it last time, which is that everybody's heard.
I haven't heard a lot of cross speaking up to press. Has that been a nuisance to anyone? No. Okay, Dougs, were you wanted to come in?
Councillor Davis has his hand up.
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
I think what Councillor Firth may be referring to is there's quite a bit of background noise, and I think that is because we're not muting ourselves. So, you know, I don't think it needs Liz or Rich to do it, but I think we should just mute ourselves and control our own mute, and I think that would help, because there is quite a bit of background noise.
Okay.
Yeah, can I just speak? It sounds like somebody's a television on in the background.
Right. Councillor Greaves.
Hello.
Please go ahead.
Trevor, I think, are you listening to this on your regular laptop audio? Because it sounds like it might be feedback coming from your speakers going in through whatever your receiver is.
Right. I'm not
I
getting.
have now got counts.
Not be a moment. Councillor Firth just come on, but
so what might solve it, Trevor, is when you hand over to somebody else, if you mute yourself.
Very, very low. Very low.
If we. What you said then, Charles, I think I heard half of it, was if we speak, when I finish speaking, I mute ourselves so somebody else can come on. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, might be good. Right. Okay. We'll continue. Councillor Firth, were you trying to tell us something then? No, I don't think he's getting anything from us, to be honest, at this minute. Are we, where have we got to?
29, Trevor.
29.
Yeah, we're looking at
29.
Yeah, we're looking at the payments for February, March, April and May. They were approved by the clerk under delegated powers, and we're looking to approve the payment schedule for June 2020. Any comments on that one, please? Are we all happy with that?
Can we note it, Mr. Chairman, please?
Yeah, thank you. Are we?
I think Judith wants to speak.
Just a show of hands on that to make sure we're all okay, please. Yep, fine. Councillor Roberts, were you wanting to come in? Councillor Roberts?
I'm here.
Oh, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't got at the side of me all the items belonging to this. So could I just ask what actually money was actually paid in February, March and April? I don't want to know the amount, but just what it was for actually.
Okay. Is did you get that, Rich? Did you?
Yeah.
Are you able to do that this minute?
I can probably show you.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
There we go.
That's February.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, it is, but I should need magnifying somehow or
Well,
other.
the amounts paid out then was £9,883 in that month. There was where's the bulk of it gone? So £1,000 went to John. There was about 1,500 to something to do with the NDP. And then in March, do you want me to go through them all, or do you just want to go through them one by one?
Well, I can't actually see them because they're too minute, you know.
Yeah.
But I just want. Oh, that's coming up a bit bigger. Oh, yeah. All right. Okay. Yes, that's better. That's better.
Can you see that?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, the majority of its salaries, isn't it? In Yorkshire.
The bus service, there's quite a few payments to the bus service, isn't there, in the second one?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And have we still been paying the bus service, even though it hasn't been running?
Not for the last couple of months.
Right.
It is something that Liz has discussed with them, because we were paying when it wasn't running. I think the first one, I think Liz has had a talk to them.
Right.
What the feedback was, but it is something being looked into.
Can I just say what they've said to me? They've said they may well be able to give us a rebate. So we're waiting to hear.
Right.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Right. Okay.
Yep. Thank you very much for that, Rich. It was very useful.
It was. Because although we have all these D's and V's and A's and B's and 5s and 6s, unfortunately, those are on a separate page altogether. And unless we print them all out ourselves, then I'm on my iPad, which I would go into on my iPad to look at them. So I can't be on here as well and on my iPad looking at all these this stuff. So unfortunately, with that happening, I can't necessarily always see exactly what's been paid out, what's been done, and what's going through. And to a certain extent, we just seem to be saying, yes, we're happy to agree it, when actually, in fact, I'm not right sure what we're happy to agree with. That's why I asked what that was about, and probably that will come up further on again as well.
Councillor Bellamy, there's a few people want to speak. I think Tom might have been first.
Tom, go ahead, please.
Yeah, the supporting documents have been on the website, available for a few days, Judith. So you've had a chance to read them beforehand. So I've read through these beforehand and seen the payments beforehand. So like you've had the opportunity. And I know it might be difficult for you to actually do it during the meeting, but it might just be worth checking them like today, earlier on today, and writing any comments or any notes that you've got, or printing anything you've got which you want to refer to in the meeting. It might be useful doing that.
Can I just reply to that, Tom? Yes, I have looked at these items on various occasions, but could you tell me exactly what, according to the Finance Regulation 5.6 and 5.7 in brackets E, actually does say?
We haven't got onto that one yet.
No, but I'm just asking, Liz, because he seems to think that everybody's going to be able to remember all this lot in hand. So I think you have got to be, you know, you have got to be pragmatic about this, that it's not always going to be quite so easy to just exactly know what is going through and what isn't going through.
Well, I think
yes, I have looked. I have looked at these on several occasions. I do read all my up-to-dates, and I do read everything that's going through. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Thank you for that. Are we looking at those and saying we're happy or whatever? Wait a minute.
Can I just...
Rachel, I think. Or is it Di? Di, please go ahead.
Can I just query the amounts paid out in grants for the VE Day celebrations that unfortunately weren't able to go ahead?
Okay. Can anybody come back to us with the answer to that one?
Well, what the Women's Institute one did go ahead. They did a virtual VE Day celebration. With regard to the other ones, I think the decision was taken that it would be very hard to take the money back from them because they might well have already spent it on the prospective celebrations. So what we've said to them is that you know, we expect them to use the money that we've given to them in a way that you know, benefits the people of the Holme Valley, because otherwise we would have been taking back money that might already have been spent, you see. So we were a bit trapped, unfortunately.
So we've no explanation as yet as to what the money's been spent on.
We have from the WI Institute.
Yeah.
The schools obviously have not been open for very long, so no.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Rachel, your comment, please.
I was just going to add on that. I think particularly given the sums involved and the fact, as Rich has already outlined, some of the costs might have been incurred. It seems rather inappropriate to go to those community groups and ask for a refund. And therefore, personally, I think it was appropriate that they can retain that money, but they will come back to us in the future. So that's pretty much what Rich outlined. But I think the other thing I just comment about the papers and references to financial regulations, etc. All those supporting documents like the financial regs, like standing orders, etc., are all on our website. So I'd encourage councillors to just familiarise yourself with what's on there now, because Rich and Liz have added a lot of additional documents. And if you can't find things, do ask them, because they can point you in the right place, and we can improve the website's layout if that's proving a problem with people finding the reference documents. But they should all be there for people to refer to if they need to. But obviously I appreciate that's difficult if people are pressed for time to look at all the papers, but the references do go to the right sections. So I was looking at them last night, so I know they're there.
Okay, thank you for that. The background noise seems to have gone off my machine now. Have they all cleared up? Has the background vanished? Yeah, okay. Tom, your comments, please.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to mention is that the Friends of Cliff Wreck did get a grant for VE Day. Because the VE Day event got cancelled, we were looking at maybe having a VJ Day event instead for the anniversary of that. But it's looking probably likely that won't go ahead either now. But the Friends of Cliff Wreck are going to have a meeting in the next few weeks where we'll probably discuss it further, but we'll probably spend the money on like a similar kind of event, or we may return it depending on what, but we'd have to discuss that at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. Any more comments on this particular item? Can we vote on this, please, to confirm payments as we've just spoken about? Okay, thank you very much for that. The next item is to approve a list of regular payments up to £500 that can be paid by the clerks before signatures are obtained. The RFO would like to be able to pay the maintenance contractor in the same way as to avoid long delays when the council is not meeting. This will mean delegating these payments to the RFO, who would then report the payments to council or F&M at the next appropriate meeting. Any thoughts on that one, folks?
Can I just say, Chairman,
Yes.
could you ask Rich to describe this a bit more clearly, what we're asking for? Because I've made some errors in that statement. So can Rich take over?
Okay. Yep.
Sure.
Okay. There we are. Look.
I know. I'm going to talk first. Yeah. Yeah. There was a bit of confusion. So last year, I don't know whether you remember at a previous council meeting, we discussed this before, where I thought we could perhaps do it whereby we didn't need councillors' signatures to approve payments before they were paid, i.e. I thought that we would be able to have a situation where we were paying bills and then the approval from council was retrospective. However, I think we agreed at that meeting that was impossible. So all this is really trying to do is to legitimise the way we've done these things for the last several years, i.e. councillors come in, we need 2 signatories from councillors, and then we go ahead and pay. So the councillors, we still have to go through the situation that we've always done, where 2 councillors come in, sign the payment slips, and then we pay, and then it's finally approved retrospectively by council. Now, up till now, we've not been doing this correctly, because you only should really be able to do it on the basis that you've got a list of regular payments. So the list that I've given you is just really to kind of legitimise what we've been doing for the last several years anyway. It's not, doesn't really change the system in any other way than before. So it's, you know, we're just keeping things as they were, but with this list.
Okay, we wanted to put the list on, Rich.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
I'll show you the list, yeah.
Okay.
I will move it over.
Yeah.
So, so there's a variety of ones. There's ones that are sort of very regular. They're sort of every month. There are others that are annual. Some are much more ad hoc. But I just want to make the point that none of these would be paid without two councillors seeing the payments and approving them before they're paid. It's not left up to me or Liz to make the decisions ourselves. We are still waiting for 2 councillors to actually approve it. And then the sort of final approval by full council is just done retrospectively at the following meeting. Does everybody get what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Can I come in there?
Sure.
Yeah, surely.
Well, if you need 2 councillors, can you, whatever it is that you're having to pay, could you not? Well, there's only certain councillors, isn't there, that can approve payments?
Yeah.
Well, those 2 or 3 councillors that can only approve accounts, if a copy of that was sort of zoomed on, could we not do it that way without having to come into the office itself?
Me and Liz discussed this before, because we were saying it would be helpful, you know, because we've got things like John Ford to pay, and it would make things a bit difficult. But I think in terms of the actual regulations, I think from the bank, basically, they need a signature. That's right, Liz, isn't it?
Yeah, we're not meant to make any payments without 2, or any backs payments without 2 signatures.
So we're a bit
on the check itself.
Yeah, no, and on the invoice, whatever it is, you have to have 2 signatures before the payment's made.
So we're a bit stuck by that system, really. So we still would need people to be coming in, unfortunately. Obviously with COVID, it makes everything a bit difficult. So, you know, I suppose there's things to be discussed about that side of things.
Right. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
So who are these people actually who are signatures?
We've got 8 signatories. 8 signatories, I think.
8?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, could I just come?
Go ahead.
Wouldn't it be possible for Richard to visit a person or members, the two members of the council that are allowed to be signatories, to sign them off? Because you can go to each other's houses now and visit. Subject to approvals, he can visit people and take the list of what needs approving, and it can be signed off.
Yeah, that would be absolutely fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So whoever the 2 signatures are, just ring them up and make an appointment and come over.
Sure.
I can.
Okay, that
can I just say that happened before? If Sally wanted a cheque signing, she used to say, "Can I call in?" Which she would do, and that was quite acceptable, because you know she knew that I was at home quite a lot.
Right. Cool.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's
that would be great.
that's done. That's given us all the some good information. You
need to vote on it, Trevor.
Yes. Can we look at? I can't see any faces or any hands up at the moment. But
I'll have to.
Can we say we can approve that one?
Stop the share.
There we go. Are we okay with that? Can I show of hands, please?
I've had my hand up for about 2 minutes, Chair. Can I just,
sorry about that. You were out of sight, Tom.
Yeah, it's okay. I understand. Yeah, I was just going to say that with subscriptions, like on the list, there's a subscription towards the campaign to protect rural England. Like things like subscriptions would have to be reviewed at annual council to decide if you stay on the list year on year. But yeah, I was just going to propose that we accept the list of payments at the moment.
Okay, thank you. And can I have a second for Tom's proposal, and then we'll be happy with that. Lovely. Thank you very much. And next item, 31, is to approve.
Do we need to vote?
Sorry. Yeah, I thought. Show of hands, please, to confirm that last one. That's lovely. Thank you. And to approve the payments made for clerk's pay, tax and national insurance can be made by standing order. The clerk and deputy clerk do not claim overtime, as this would mean complex calculations each month. If necessary, they can take low days off for extra hours worked. This means the monthly accounts are always the same, and they can consequently be paid by standing order. It will give significant time for the RFO. Any comments on that one, please? Jason, go ahead.
Yeah, can I approve that? Propose that, Mr. Chairman, please.
So, I'm sorry, Jason, I didn't get that. It was broken. Try again, please.
Can I propose that action, please?
Yep, thank you for that.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Proposal for that action.
Can I come in here, please?
Go ahead.
How do we know what hours have been worked other than the scheduled amount that's required, that we actually you know, I mean, it says here that that they would get time in lieu, won't they? For, does it say that? No, just a minute. Delegating these payments and then we report. How do we know exactly how many hours they have worked over and above?
Because we fill out timesheets.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. There's going to say there is a written record of hours, extra hours worked, etc. I didn't know that. Yeah. Right. Are we okay with that?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else with anything on that one, please? Are we all comfortable with it?
Yeah.
Jason, you were coming back with some. Oh, Jason's proposal, please, to accept that. Are we a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second it.
That, and show of hands if you play to accept it, please. That's lovely. Thank you. Now then, item 32 is to consider a joint membership of the Yorkshire First Charity. Now, at a cost of £30 per year. Now, the Civic Hall Trust are members of this group, and we're only talking about it earlier on today. I understand it's quite an advantageous thing to have for the sake of £30 a year. I don't know whether you'll have you had a chance to read this. It's a registered charity that supports local organisations to raise funds. It'll be a useful link for both Civic Hall Trust and the Council in a joint approach to securing funding. That's the information I want. Councillor Dalton, your comment, please.
Yeah, this is a similar resolution to the one that we had on the meeting held on the 1st of June. Item 2021-08, to consider whether the council wishes to continue with the current elected. Oh, sorry, wrong. To consider the payment of £30 to join Yorkshire Community First.
Yeah.
Now, as I pointed out in the last meeting, there is no registered charity called Yorkshire Community First. We've now got a proposal this meeting to pay £30 to Yorkshire First Charity, and there's even a useful link been given in the in the agenda, which links to an organisation called Community Yorkshire First Limited, not Yorkshire First Charity. So no, I don't know what's going on here. We've got 2 resolutions in 2 weeks trying to get £30 out of the council. It's a trivial amount, yes, but who are these people? Who's putting this resolution on the agenda every week? And why can't we at least be honest about where the money's going, which would be to community, as far as you understand it, I don't know, maybe the cheque will get written out to Yorkshire First Charity this month. I mean, it's just not right to put a proposal saying this is a registered charity, and it's not. So I think we should reject it.
Yep.
Furthermore, the minutes, minutes to last council meeting, minuted. Councillor Dalton advised that the charity was not registered as such. The matter would be deferred to a later meeting so that the veracity of this statement could be checked. I mean, did anybody check the veracity of my statement, or is anybody a month later going to challenge the veracity of my statement? Because what we agreed in the last meeting was that we wouldn't be paying £30 to Yorkshire Community First, and I suggest that we don't pay £30 to Yorkshire First Charity, whoever they are.
Okay, well spotted. Councillor Carr, your comment, please.
Yeah, well spotted. He's not. I don't know what he's spotted, Chair. To be fair, Councillor Dalton, if you click on that link, it takes you directly to the Charities Commission website. If you click on documents, you see this charity has submitted accounts since March 2015 and turns over £1 million. They're registered with the Charities Commission. They're clearly a charity. It's 30 quid, and I think we should move it, Chair. I don't know what this distraction is or what this concern is, but Councillor Dalton needs to check his web links because it takes you directly to the very place you need to go to show that it is a charity.
I'll second that.
So can I move it?
Fine. Can I ask our clerk if there was any further information on that during the past month?
Well, that's the link. That's why I put it there.
Yeah, that was.
The question was it a charity? And that's a link to the charity website. So that's the end of the matter as far as I'm concerned.
That's fine. That's fine, as long as it was done. So we're looking at. Sorry, say again. What are we saying? No,
we need to vote.
No, looking at that.
Councillor Dalton's wanted to speak.
Coming up. Oh, go ahead, Councillor Dalton.
Yeah, would Rich kindly bring up for the councillors to view the results when you click that link? Then we can see if it comes up as Yorkshire First Charity or whether it comes up as Community Yorkshire First Limited.
Right.
That's not the point, is it? Loads of people trade under different.
That's the point. I think you're just splitting hairs for the sake of it. We know what the charity is. We've been asked to join in with the Civic Hall in paying for a membership, and it's just so that we can try and raise more funds for community groups. Why are you making it so difficult?
The proposal is to pay Yorkshire First Charity, and you've given a link to Community Yorkshire First Limited. If you want to put a proposal to pay Community Yorkshire First Limited, which is a business with by the way, a turnover of around about 1.2 million, £600,000 of which goes in staff costs, all of the money comes from the public purse. I mean, I'd be even if it was correctly noted in the agenda, I would be voting against giving this organisation £30. But that's by the by. If you want to put a proposal together to pay Community Yorkshire First Limited 30 quid, which is what you get if you hit that link. I think Rich might. I don't know if Rich has managed to hit the link and see.
I can do it. Yeah.
So why it doesn't just say that in the proposal, I don't know.
Thank you for that. Pat, please go ahead.
There is its charity number is clearly on the on that heading. What's wrong?
Okay, Jason, your comment, please.
Yeah, I'd like to propose this, but I do understand Councillor Dalton's comments there. You know, he is allowed to make a comment. You know, we may not agree with what he says, but he is allowed to comment, and we should listen to what he has to say. We shouldn't ridicule another councillor's comments. We might not agree with him, but we've got to understand what he's saying. But I would like to propose this action, please.
Okay. Tom, your comment, please.
Yeah, well, I was just going to propose that we make the payment towards Community First Yorkshire Limited, or that's what the charity name is, or it says on the website. It's a bit of a different name, but yeah, I'm happy with that as well. So I'll second Jason's proposal, which was also Doug's proposal as well. So we should probably move to a vote now.
So we've had the proposal in a second. Councillor Roberts, you wanted to come in?
Me, no. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So we've a proposal in a second. Can we show?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, hello. Go ahead, Councillor Firth.
Mr. Chairman. I'm having great difficulty in following this meeting. My network bandwidth is very, very low, and I'm getting a lot of dropout. In fact, half the people I can't see, and everybody seems to talk over the top of one another. It's a very jumbled up, messy sort of meeting. I'm having a problem. Now, I'm going to listen. I'm not going to put my 10 anything because I don't think half of you hear what I was saying. And I've just got a thing now to say, your internet connection is unstable. Well, you know, I'm having great difficulties. It's the worst transmission I've had in all the time we've been using Zoom. It's been pretty bad, pretty poor. It's just a bad night here, I'm afraid. But I will listen. I'll kill my mic now and just listen. Okay?
Okay.
We can hear you.
Councillor Greaves.
Councillor Firth, if you can open it up, you can type on the. You can actually type a comment in the chat section. So if you're struggling, just put something in there. Then Rich or Liz or one of us can just flag it up.
Okay.
So you go to chat bits down. If you move your mouse down towards the bottom, it'll highlight participants chat share screen. So if you click on chat, it opens it up at the side.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
You're all right with that, Donald?
Yeah, I'll do that because I'm having some struggle to get to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do that if you're breaking up. All right. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yep. Thank you for your help there. Nope. We've had a proposal in a seconder. Can we look at supporting that proposal, please? Yeah. Are we? Yep. Any people against that proposal, please? Just get the numbers on that one. Yep. Okay. Thank you very much.
Abstention.
Any abstention at all? Two. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. That's fine. And item 33, to approve the reopening of the public toilets in Holme Firth. At the CAS meeting on Tuesday 22nd, it was approved to reopen the public toilets in Holme Firth from the 2nd of July, with due regard to minimising risk to the staff and public from COVID. The clerk to report, if you would, please.
Yeah, I think actually subsequent to writing this, Councillor Hogley felt that CAS had actually made that decision and it didn't need to be passed by council, but I'll just say what's happening if that would help.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay, well,
please.
So we have voted on CAS to reopen the toilets on the 1st of July, it'll be, which is Wednesday. I managed to get risk assessments from Kirklees and I've adapted them for our purposes. We've made every measure we can reasonably make to reduce the risk of infection to the public and to the staff. And so we're hoping to open from 9 till 5, 7 days a week from Wednesday. But there'll only be one toilet available to reduce the number of people going in and out at one time. And there'll be signage up to instruct everyone about using the hand sanitizer, keeping their distance and all that sort of thing. So I think we've covered just about everything we can.
Okay, thank you. Have we all the appropriate equipment we need at the moment, Liz?
Yeah, that's right. We've got extra hand sanitizer dispensers, we've got PPE equipment, and we've got signage. So we're ready to go.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Carr, please go ahead.
Yeah, I saw the email earlier today. The reason I was just going to interject, Chair, is at the moment the hand dispenser that we're looking to use for the sanitizer is a wall-mounted unit, and I just happen to know that there's a local firm that's been manufacturing a foot pump base. It's basically a column, a stainless steel column that you press with your foot, and hand sanitizer comes out. And just before the meeting, I managed to get a price for it. It is manufactured in Lockwood, and the sanitizer they're using is coming from Slathwaite. It's about £260 for that unit, which would be screwed to the floor in the middle of the toilet. I don't know if we think that would be an improvement on the options at the moment. Me and Liz exchanged emails, but obviously we haven't had a chance to discuss it properly because it was just before the meeting. But I can get a supplier to deliver a foot dispenser hand sanitizer for £260. That's of interest.
Okay, thank you for that. There's some people wanting to speak. I think Sean was first. Somebody? Yes, please.
Yeah,
please
I was just responding to what Doug's has said. Really, I can't. Why would you have a foot-operated hand sanitising unit?
Because can I just come in there? See,
okay.
The hand sanitizer unit, you would either push or you would pull with your hand. A foot one, you would just put your foot on it. Therefore, it minimises the actual amount of touch you on the unit.
But you apply the hand sanitizer after you've touched the unit, don't you?
No, only when you've well, it will come out of the unit. You put your hand under where it comes out, put your foot on the thing, and it'll squirt a bit out onto your hand.
Okay. Well, if you're pressing the unit to get the hand sanitizer out, then you're cleaning your hands afterwards. Then anything that you might have picked up from touching the hand sanitizer has been dealt with by the sanitizer that you put on your hands.
Well.
Okay.
Can I ask how much of the sanitizer is coming for that price, please? You said it. You said
their sanitizers. £70 for 10 litres. That's what they're quoting. But you could put other sanitizer in it. I think this foot-based solution is what the Kirklees Council's gone for, because it is seen as a better solution. As Sean says, in theory, it shouldn't make a difference. But we are somewhere that's basically an unattended toilet. So the more we can do to make it bomb-proof, I think the better, really.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been making inquiries through a company that I've dealt with for 25 years, and they too make hand sanitizer. And it's a chemical company, and I can get 10 litres for, now then how much is it? £18.50 for 5 litres. So that would be £32 for 10 litres plus VAT. And I said I was prepared to go and get some and ask them to do a bill for the parish council for whatever I pay for it. But I would like a little bit of a petrol money, which I would put in at so much per mile. I think it's 45 pence per mile, but only when I've left the Holme Valley.
Yes.
Because I can't claim within the Holme Valley for mileage.
Right. Okay, thank you for that, Tom.
But if you have made arrangements, Councillor Carr, with this one at Lockwood, then please do go ahead with it if you wish to do so. And I will cancel this amount because I have asked for 50 litres of this sanitizer.
Okay. Tom, your comment, please. Tom.
Yeah, I was going to begin by saying that I had a meeting with John Ford at the toilets on Thursday last week, and John has sourced a PPE for his staff who would be doing the cleaning of the toilets, the opening and the closing, and so they would be kitted out, but the staff are John's responsibility as a subcontractor rather than ourselves. So, but he's got a lot of kitting and he's very organised about this. In answering kind of Doug's question, Judith, Doug's had only sourced a quote. He hasn't agreed to buy anything yet. He hasn't agreed to buy anything. He's just reporting to the council now. So I don't know why you've had that kind of tone with him, to be honest. And
no, it wasn't a tone.
Well, I just thought you had a bit of a tone with him.
No, you got it wrong there, Tom.
But anyway, if you like to finish,
I'm trying my best to just help the council out.
Yeah. I know, and it's good. It's appreciated. But like, if we're going to get hand sanitizer from your source or from Doug's,
that's quite all right. We can cancel it. It's quite all right. Save me a job.
If you like to finish, please. If you like to finish, Judith. If we agree to go with yours, then it has to go through the full council to agree it first. Any purchase has to be agreed by the full council, by everybody.
Well, that's quite all right. Yeah.
Not by yourself.
Okay.
Okay. Kathy, your comments, please.
A foot sanitizer, would that be dangerous? If it's, you know, I don't know what a foot sanitizer looks like, but would that get in the way for somebody going into the toilet? Could they trip over it? Wheelchair. And does anybody know? Could Doug answer that?
Yeah.
I can see it, yes, but could a wheelchair get in the way? Or I'm not against it or anything. I'm just wondering if anybody could have an accident. Mute. Can't hear Doug.
No sound, Doug.
All I was saying was,
that's it.
I think it's just an offer, but we'd have to look at the logistics of, is there anywhere it could go safely?
Yeah.
It was an access issue. I mean, if you want me to pursue it tomorrow, I guess we just need to know in principle whether we want us to look into it further or not. That's the only thing I need to know. Not really.
I'm not against it, Doug. I just wondered whether it could be dangerous. So that was my concern.
I don't think it'd be.
Now then, Sarah, your comment.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I just wondered when you said that there was just one toilet available. Is that for both a toilet for the males and for the females, or
no?
Just one toilet?
Yeah, it's just the disabled toilet, because that one is, you can see it from the door where you go in and you can tell whether it's occupied. So the idea is that you don't have to have more than one person in the toilet itself in the building. That's why.
Right.
So anyone can use it. It's a disabled toilet, but anybody can use it. So the idea is it encourages people to go in one at a time.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Okay with that, thank you. Tom, your hand up, please.
I think Rachel and Jason were first. But,
okay, I can't see them, to be honest, at the moment. Rachel, we'll go with you.
Yeah, just picking up on Kath's point, I think given it's the disabled toilet, we just need to make sure that if we put in a foot one, which I can see the advantage of it, but we just need to make sure it doesn't reduce the space such that then it becomes unusable for people in wheelchairs or reduces the space. The other thing I wasn't quite sure about is I thought we would be having maybe we don't need it, but hand sanitizer dispenser in the cubicle, but also outside, so that you sanitize your hands before you open the door, and then you sanitize them when you leave. So I'm just not quite sure. I mean, I'm sure Liz knows more about this than most of us, having discussed such things with Kurt Lees, and with John Ford indeed. But I just think we need to be clear whether we're having 2 dispensers or just one, and conscious that if one is sort of in the inside the cubicle, clearly people won't go in and just use it. But if one was, say, on the outside of the building, we may find that the amount of sanitizer in it goes down very quickly, because people may choose to use it as they walk through home first.
Well, the signs ask them to use the sanitizer before and after going to the toilet, and there's 2 dispensers. There's one in the lobby, and there's one in the actual toilet. Right. So can I suggest that we go with what we have, and we look into getting the foot operated pump in due course, because we've already got the hand operated sanitizer dispensers.
Okay. Now, somebody else had their hand up. Was it Jason?
Yeah,
there's no picture at the moment.
He's still got Doug's on the main screen.
Aye.
Rich, can you?
You're on the big screen,
Doug.
Sorry.
No. That's no better. Stop smiling.
Can you share your screen, Doug?
I don't control the who's got the screen.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
I've managed to get me off the screen, but if I'm on everybody else, I apologise, Chair.
Yeah. Is your hand up, Tom? Yeah. Please go ahead.
I think Jason was speaking first.
All right. Okay, Jason. I can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah. I've been around the country, and some things I've noticed now with these dispensers. You get somewhere, you just put your hand underneath, you don't touch anything, and it squirts into your hand, like you do with like a hand dryer in toilets. If we're going to change something, maybe we need to look at that type of thing, where you're not going to have a trip hazard. Also, you're not going to be touching it with your hands. You literally just put your hand underneath, it senses it's there, and drops a drop of hand sanitizer into your hands. Well, that make more sense than a foot one or a hand dispenser.
Okay, thank you for that information. Tom, you're responding.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with the hand sanitizers at the moment that we've already got, because if we want to open on Wednesday, realistically we can't probably get what Doug's has suggested by then. It might be quite difficult to get one and get everything in place. If we were to go with a foot sanitizer, a foot pedal machine, then I wouldn't envisage it being in the left-hand side of the toilets, just before you even go in by the front window. If you have it on the left-hand side by where the door was to the old gents, then it wouldn't really be in the way of anybody. You wouldn't have to walk past it or anything like that. So it wouldn't be a trip hazard, or it wouldn't really cause much of a problem. So if you're going to do something like that, you probably have it there. But I think to begin with, I think the hand sanitizers would be sufficient. And that's what my proposal would be as well, to have that, go with that at the moment.
Okay.
But like I've also mentioned as well that at the previous meeting, when we discussed reopening the toilets, we would review it again at the next full council meeting, because it could be that then, with current restrictions being lifted, that we may choose to open up the gents and the ladies part of the toilet as well, expand upon it if the COVID rate continues to reduce. But for the time being, I just suggest using the hand sanitizers. That's my proposal.
Okay, and
I'll second that proposal.
Right, I'm sorry, I've only got four faces on at the moment.
You may have to click on the grid.
Can we look at?
Have
you restricted the pictures, Rich?
Trevor, can I suggest you go into the right-hand corner and select gallery view? That's how I got rid of Doug's.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got to play around with your buttons to get everybody back.
Well, thank you very much.
Where do you go,
Right-hand side.
Pat? Right-hand side. Where will it be?
Top right-hand corner, can you see a sign that says speaker view?
Right, yep.
You've got the choice between speaker view or gallery view.
Oh, heck.
Have you got it?
Not yet.
Top right-hand.
Is that at the top or the bottom?
In the black band round the outside of all the pictures, in the top right-hand corner, you should have a thing that says either speaker view or gallery view.
Oh, gallery view.
Choose gallery view.
We got it. Well done.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
We're in. Right.
Can I just say, Pat, that on mine, it's at the opposite side. It's at the left-hand side.
So, have we exhausted that conversation? Good. Doug's, go ahead.
Is Tom proposing that we open with what we've got, and then we may look at the other options with this other thing, but we can do that in the next few weeks. There's no rush to do that, but let's get them open with what we've got. That's what we're all saying.
That's exactly what was said, and we can, as things progress, we can alter our tactics on that one, can't we? Can we move ahead on that, please? And
sorry, can I just say one thing, Chairman?
Yes.
If we're going to go ahead with what we have, could I ask Councillor Roberts to revert to the plan that we made today, which that she goes and buys some of this sanitizer tomorrow, because otherwise we haven't got any.
Okay.
We've already agreed for her to go and get
You've
some.
spoken about that's lovely. Yep. Okay.
All right. Is that okay, Councillor Roberts?
Well, yes, if it's approval by everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, can we show approval for that and opening and new sanitizer tomorrow? Right, that looks pretty good. Thank you. Thanks for that, folks. And Councillor Roberts, thank you very much for your offer.
You're welcome.
And item 34, to approve a veerment of £9,000 from the general reserves to the cask budget for 2021. The money remained in the cask budget at the end of last year and would have been allocated to two community bodies had their decisions been taken to full council on the 23rd. Because of the COVID virus, the meeting was shortened and the grants were not considered. If the amendment is approved, then the cask committee can honour all the grants it approved at the meeting on the 22nd. That was rather involved, wasn't it? Are we, you want me to go through that again? Are we quite happy with that? Just
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
It
Please go ahead,
appears
Paul.
that the amount of money that the cask committee are spending seems to be rather excessive, and I still feel that all grants should go through the finance committee with a maximum of £1,000 each. If you're giving out lots more money, I want to know why, who to, and what for before we do it, because I have not seen it to approve any of this. And if the cask committee are having a grant applications of their own, I think it's a total disgrace.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Dixon. Sorry, Councillor Brooke, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to approve this task, please. As I say, it just needed funds that should have been spent before May. Obviously, COVID-19 things have delayed things. But regarding Councillor Paul Dixon, there is whatever grants we go apply for do get put onto the website, and everybody can look at them once they've been approved. The answers are already. So, but I mean,
don't do website. Not starting now.
Available to you. Sorry, I was not allowed to speak.
All right. Councillor Ogley, your comment, please.
I'll second Jason's proposal that we approve the environment, but just to answer Councillor Paul Dixon's point, CASC's budget is obviously set as part of the full council budget setting, both for last year and then obviously for this year. and that includes the authority that CASC has to give grants according to its current grant criteria. I know that the grants working group is looking at that thorny issue of grants coming out of finance and management, service provision and CASC, and what the suitable levels are for that. And it's actually something we discussed at CASC the other day, about having some sort of expression of interest form that groups managing community assets in the valley could let us know in advance of our budget setting the sort of capital expenditure that they may be expecting to incur over the next few years. That's not to say that we would necessarily fund it, but at least we are in a much better informed position of knowing what the need is within our valley. And it might be that we point them towards other funding sources, but at least we know what the demand is. Because I think this year we've been quite kind of overwhelmed with significant capital applications, and we haven't, as a committee, awarded above what we have within our existing budget and included, but we noted them as grants that could be postponed if that was the decision of full council. There was that money from last year which could be spent, but we didn't agree to spend it unless the environment was agreed at full council. So CASC, to my mind, hasn't overstepped the mark in identifying the potential grants.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other comments on that one, please? Yeah. Now we've got a proposal and we've got a seconder. Can we look at acceptance of that, please? Okay, thank you very much indeed.
Anybody against?
Anybody against? Yes, thank you, Alf. And anybody abstaining, please? Okay.
Done.
2. Yep, 2. Thank you very much indeed. We're now looking at, as Chair of Neighbourhood Plan Steering Group, Councillor Ogre proposes that the submission Neighbourhood Development Plan and its accompanying consultation statement, a basic conditions statement, be approved for final submission to Kirklees Council and the Peak District National Park Authority. There's another paragraph if you wish me to go through it, Rachel, or is that heading sufficient for your needs for at the moment?
I mean, the paragraph says clearly what will happen, but it may be beneficial to read it out, which I'm happy to do. If
do you want me to read it out and then respond to you if you wish?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, fine. Following final comment from Kirklees and the Peak District National Park Association, the neighbourhood plan has been considered by the Planning Committee, which recommends that it progress to the next stage of development. This consists of Regulation 16 consultation by the local planning authorities prior to an independent planning examiner reviewing the document. It will then progress with any modifications recommended by the examiner to a public referendum on May 21. If 50% of all those who vote in favour, the NDP will then be made and thereafter formally influencing plans decisions in the Holme Valley. All the documentation is available on the website, which we have the documentation here. If you'd like to expand on that, Councillor Ogre, or whatever.
All I'd add is I sent round a short PowerPoint presentation, which is with the documentation for this meeting, but was also sent out following our previous Zoom full council meeting last month. So hopefully that covered everything people needed to remind themselves of what a neighbourhood plan is, and the fact that there's 3 documents that go with it. There's all the supporting documentation, which is all clearly laid out on our website, but the 3 documents that we formally submit to Kirklees and Peak District National Park Authority, and then they move onwards to the examiner, are the draft neighbourhood development plan, the conditions statement, which basically explains how the plan relates to national policy and local policy, both with Kirklees and with the Peak District. So it's a very long document, partly because it has to relate to 2 local authority areas, and the Holme Valley is one of the largest areas that's done a neighbourhood plan. And then the consultation statement, which talks about all the consultation we've done locally since 2016 and over the various stages of development of the plan. So yes, I would like to formally propose that we approve the submission of those 3 documents to Kirklees so that the neighbourhood plan can continue its long journey to hopefully being made next May. The reason it can't be till next May is because the coronavirus legislation basically included some regulations that said there couldn't be any public referendums on neighbourhood plans until May 2021 at the earliest. Otherwise, we had hoped to go to referendum at the end of this year or very early in the new year. So that's why it seems like a long gap, but we need to keep it moving along through the process.
Right, thank you very much for that. To Councillor Carr, please, your comment.
Yeah, well, 2 things. Firstly, I'm more than happy to second it, Rachel. And just wanted to say congratulations on getting to this point. It's a massive effort. I know from the work I did in the authority with other people who were looking to get these done, just what a massive undertaking it's done. So this is a huge hurdle to have got across. My question is partly about the cost of the referendum. And if we do it in May, would we do it on the same day as the local elections, and would that reduce the costs of the referendum? So it was really about who picks up the bill for the referendum. But in terms of moving this forward, I think we need to move it forward no matter what the cost anyway.
Okay. Any other comment on that, please? Can we? Yes, go ahead, Rachel.
My understanding, although I will double check it, is that the local planning authority, so Kirklees in this instance, has to foot the bill for the referendum. But I'll double check that's the case, but I believe that is.
Okay, thank you for that. So we've had a proposal and we've got a seconder. Can we look for support for that that move forward, please? Yep. Any objections to that one or abstentions? Abstention, thank you. Okay.
It's not an extension.
Oh,
it's got his speaker off.
Oh.
That was a vote against, Mr. Chairman, not an abstention.
Right, so we'd lost you for the moment there. Thank you. And right. Next item is 36, which is asking the council to consider a motion supported by 6 of our councillors that amends the council standing orders as described in paper G below. Standing orders 2019, standing orders as proposed. There are some minor changes that were suggested by the 2019 NALC model. The main changes proposed by this motion are in section. Number 4, added the Climate Emergency Committee. That would be adding the Climate Emergency Committee to the standing orders, I presume, with that one. Anybody wishing to come up on that one?
Can I come in on that, please?
Please do.
I recently attended a webinar and this was brought up about climate emergency committees, and by which I said that we had one at our parish council, and I said my concerns were that we were actually, that members of the public had been co-opted on, and I was concerned that they had access to the office, of which Liz and Richard are obviously concerned about other people using going into the office because of the sensitive material. And I think what do they call her now? Sheena Spence was supposedly ringing our clerk. Has she rung you, Liz?
Oh no.
She hasn't. Well, she did say she was on holiday for a week, and she would be returning on Monday, which I presume is today. So I've tried to get hold of her this afternoon with her because she said she was going to ring you, and because I think there was a query over it, and so she was going to ring you, but obviously she hasn't done. So could we just put that back, please, maybe to the next full council meeting? Item 4.
Item 4.
Chair,
Yeah,
no,
yes,
sorry. Excuse me, Chair.
Yeah.
Could I respond to that?
Go, Councillor Davis, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure where Councillor Roberts has had her information from, but certainly, as far as I'm concerned, as the chair of the committee, the only access members of the public, the co-opting members, have is to the meeting room. There is no need for them to be in the office, and certainly during virtual meetings, as we are now, or clearly they haven't got their access. But there is no reason whatsoever why they should have access, and certainly since I've been chairing the meeting, that's not occurred.
Well, that was what was brought up, and she did say that she was going to ring our clerk with regards to it. So I'm presuming that's what she's going to do, and hasn't managed to do it as yet. So
excuse me, Chair. I think that's come up because, correct me if I'm wrong, Councillor Roberts, that you said you were concerned about it. So
well, yes, I've said that.
Absolutely. So I'm responding and telling you that is not a concern, because that does not happen. Why would they have access to the office? They come and attend a meeting, we discuss the matters pertinent to that meeting, and then they leave the premises. And whilst we're there, we have both the chair, both the clerk and the deputy clerk present as well to actually regulate that. So it's fully controlled. So I'm not really sure why this is an issue. And certainly, as far as I'm concerned, and I'll leave this for other people to contribute, I see no reason why that would delay confirming the climate emergency committee as on the standing orders.
Councillor Hall, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. What concerns me most about this, don't get me wrong, I think the climate emergency is something that we do all need to address. But my main concerns are that this is a double budget. As far as I'm aware, Kirklees are taking this under the control. They have got funding for it. So what absolutely amazes me is why has our parish council, which I believe is the only parish council, have committed themselves to this awful lot of money to duplicate something that hopefully Kirklees Council are doing, which we are all paying dearly for to our council taxes. Could I have an explanation as to why we are submitted ourselves to this financial? Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much. Does anybody
would you like
have an answer to that? Does anybody want to respond to that?
I think the answer is we've now debated that particular issue numerous times, and really I don't see it pertinent for this discussion. It's been clarified, voted on by full council, and I think that's the end of the matter. As our Prime Minister would say on many issues, that is the end of the matter.
Right, Councillor Hall, please come back on that one.
Chair, thank you very much for that.
No, it isn't.
You still haven't answered my question. Why are we duplicating something that Kirklees is doing? Surely that money could go to far better causes in our valley than duplicating something that Kirklees should be funding.
Again, we've had this discussion a number of times.
Okay.
We're not duplicating. We have discussed this, debated it, and voted on it. I would propose that this is not relevant to this discussion. We're now going back on an issue that we have covered many times. It is not duplication. It is probably the most important issue the Valley faces, and we've already approved this on a number of occasions.
Councillor Dixon. Sorry, Councillor Brooke. I do beg your pardon.
Chairman, I'm speaking on what Councillor Hall has said. I always understand that this is what I call double taxation, and I totally agree with Councillor Hall, and I don't see why we are spending money on something that and if Councillor Davis wishes to consider the valley, he should consider
Exactly.
the finances.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Exactly.
Point of order.
Yes.
This has been discussed before numerous times. It is inappropriate to be recovering this ground every single time this issue is raised, and there are specifics about it. Can we get back to the agenda and discuss the specific that is on the agenda, please?
Okay, Councillor Brooke, you have a comment, please.
Yeah, there's just 2 points on it. The first point, just maybe to help Councillor Hall there, is the committee is doing Holme Valley, but we are seeking funds which is not for the local community, which is grants for community grants and stuff like that, which would help the local community better than going through the Kirklees Council. So yes, we do have a budget toward it, but most of the funding is coming from other sources. It's not double taxation, which we may be looking at. So that's why it is on that parish council doing it, is to move forward. Yeah, I do realise, but I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of pounds that grants what we're applying for, which will come in hand. But I also like to propose this thing so we can move on, please.
Okay, Councillor Carr, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a simple point, Chair. This is literally an item just about standing orders. If we have got a climate change committee, which we have, it's been voted on, then we need to change the standing orders to reflect that that committee exists. That's why that's there. I support this change along with all the others and suggest we move business and take a vote on it.
Okay, well we've got thus far. I suppose we have a proposal. Did we get a seconder? I don't. Right. Okay, that's fine. And I suppose my comment on this would be again with regard to the comments that you made regarding where you're seeking funds, etc., etc. I know that Kirklees is only one of them, and I know that you're seeking funds from elsewhere. So those are my comments on that, and we need a vote on this, please. We've had a proposer and we've got a seconder. Can we show some support for the action? Okay, thank you. Anyone against the proposal, please? Yep, with 2, 3, 4, 5.
I was actually wanting to comment.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Please go ahead then. Yeah, Councillor Dalton.
You got part way through explaining what the changes in the standing orders were. Item 4, 15. We're about to go on to 26, but you didn't get there.
No, I haven't finished the whole thing yet, to be honest. I was doing them one at a time.
But we didn't get, somebody proposed and seconded to move the motion before you'd gone through 26 and the changes in the standing orders under section 26, office holders. Could we maybe just clarify, go through the end of that, get to the end and then go to a vote, please?
Surely. The one we were just discussing there was the Climate Emergency Committee. The second part of that is to give the Deputy Clerk permission to carry out some of the proper officers' duties. The third part is regarding office holders. A suggestion that the Chairman of the Council must have been on the Council for 3 years, the Vice Chairman of the Council for 2 years. And that removes the idea of a progression through the ranks. And the 26J would read that councillors submit a committee preference form a week prior to voting taking place. So shall we take them in some sort of order? The first one being Deputy Clerk permission to carry out some of the proper officers' duties. this is over and above quite clearly what you're doing at the moment, Rich. Have you got have we got a list of things which are going on to this added list, if you like, or?
Can I speak to that, please, Chairman?
Yeah, please do. Yes.
It's just that officially the standing orders last year said that the clerk does all the minutes and agendas, and now that we share it, we just have to state that properly, that we share those duties. That's all it is.
Right. Okay. Has anybody any comment or likes or dislikes on that one?
Can I propose that, Mr. Chairman, please?
Yes, a proposal and a second. I see somebody's hand up there.
Mr. Chairman, on that last point.
Yes.
As long as it isn't going to increase greatly the RFO's hours, I'm quite happy to go with it.
Okay.
If it fits within his present hours, that's no problem.
Right. Does that tie in what you had in mind? It's not going to make a massive change to number of hours per week worked or anything?
No, but it's just that the committees that Rich does the agenda for and the minutes, and he takes the minutes, that formally the council is saying that he's entitled to do that. That's all. I'm not giving him anything extra. It's just it's meant to be specific.
Right. So can we support that idea, folks? We have a proposer, a seconder. A show of hands if you would, please. Yeah. Okay. Anybody against that idea, please? Or any abstentions on that? Okay, thank you. The office holders suggestion that the chairman of the council must have been on the council for 3 years, the vice chairman for 2 years, and the idea of a progression, and removes the idea of any progression through the ranks. So this may well bring about some comments. That gives a purpose for that proposed change, or is there any other purpose involved?
Chairman, can I speak?
Someone, just hang on a moment, please. Rachel, you're first, please.
Sorry. Yeah, it was just to say one of the reasons for reducing it from the current 4 years to 3 years was just the 4-year rule meant that you always had to serve a second term as a councillor in order to be considered as a chair. And I think the principle of having to serve a second term to be considered as chair of the council seems slightly unnecessary, because I think after you've had 3 years on the council, you've got sufficient experience to be able to take the role of chair. Less than that, I don't think you necessarily have, but I don't think we should stop ourselves being able to appoint people in their 4th year of being a councillor to the chair position. And I think the removal of the previous idea, I've forgotten what it's called, progression through the ranks, was really just to bring us more up to date with the fact that appointments should really be made on the most suitable candidate for the post, not how long necessarily you've been on the council. Although I imagine when chairs are appointed and proposed, that will be one of the things that you would expect councillors to consider.
Councillor Dixon.
Mr. Chairman, I'm totally against what Councillor Oakley has just said. I think it's only right that a councillor does serve a second term before they can be chairman. Basically, that they're going to have to be on after that time because there are other duties to perform in the year after the chairman. So we should have somebody who has some respect. I don't like somebody to just come on the council, do 4 years, be a chairman and then walk away. Me and other members of this council have been on a long time and we don't like change, and this is change for change's sake, and I don't want to change anything. I think what we had before wasn't broken, so there was no point in changing it. It's been the way that it's been done and the way it's been run for the last nearly 40 years that I've been on the council. Why change something now that is unnecessary? Somebody will come on, do 3 years, be a chairman. It's a position of pride, and it's a position that you should look into, not just be going on for 4 years, do it and go away and then forget about it. And I'm totally against this, and I think it should be forgotten about and thrown in the bin.
Okay. Councillor Brooke, your comment, please.
You're muted, Jason. We can't hear you.
I can see him moving his mouth, but no words. Bear with me.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
It's not that. Yep. We can hear you now, Jason.
Yeah, 2 comments. First comment is my understanding is if a chairman's if a council has been on the council for 4 years but does not want to take the person, there's no available, we can't go down to the next stage where it's 2-3 years of being on the council. There is like a thing that for that already. But I do understand Councillor Hogley's comments that, you know, to stop a lot of sometimes issues, you know, if they've been on the 3 years, they do understand what's going on. Now, yeah, I do totally agree with it. But as a council, you know, we should respect getting the right person to be the chairman. If they've been on 3 years or 4 years, I think it's irrelevant. If they're the right person to do the job, the council votes them on, fair and square. So I agree with Councillor Hogley that we should accept this.
Okay. Tom, go ahead.
When I was chairman of the council 8 years ago, one of the chairmen of one of the other neighbouring parish councils had only been on the council about 6 months at the time, and they were chairman. So other parish councils do not like have a 4-year rule or things like that. Some may do, but some you don't have to do. And that chairman was doing a perfectly adequate job, having just been made chairman. I think 3 years is a good enough time to kind of learn about the council, and there's also chairman courses you can go on as well to kind of help as well with it. So I think 3 years is sufficient, but I also kind of agree with what my dad said, that being a chairman is a privilege. It's a really good thing you can get to do. And I kind of think the seniority rule it's an unofficial rule where the person who's been on the council the longest and hasn't been chairman is offered the role of chairman. Because I think in some ways it's a bit unfair sometimes that if someone's been on the longest and they fit all the criteria, that they're decent, they're a good person, and they're able to be chairman, then I think that they should be asked first rather than somebody else. But Rachel hinted about that when she mentioned about people, the length of time they've been on the council, and then councillors can just consider that themselves, consider if they should be doing the job next.
Thank you. Darry, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I agree mostly with what Councillor Paul Dixon has said. I don't think we should do it just because we've always done it that way. I think we should do it because you cannot beat experience. And if you haven't been on over the years and you haven't known exactly what's gone on each committee, well then in honesty, I don't think you can do a fair job of being a chairman unless you know everything that's going on. And with all due respect, anybody that's only been on the council a couple of years have not got that experience. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I come in, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, can I just say with regards to this, when I first joined the council, which was back in 2003, the chairman of the council at the time actually had lost his seat at in the local elections, and so he handed his term of office over. I believe that was to Councillor Hall at the time, as she was my first insight as to what it was to be a chairman, and he actually had to leave the offices then. So if somebody doesn't get re-elected on, and they haven't been on for over you know, if they take on the chairmanship, or say they're going to take on the chairmanship in the May, and unfortunately they don't get re-elected, then that's why it's better to go into the 4th year, because at least they have been re-elected. And also, I think taking on the chairmanship is a big responsibility. In the year that I did it, I was elected on the Monday night to become the chairman, and started as the chairman and took on a duty on the second day, which was the Tuesday. And overall, in all, I took on over 80 engagements in that 12 months, which is quite a lot to have to do. I think you have to realise that these that take on these engagements do have to do quite a lot of work, and a lot of weekend work, and a lot of sandwich eating and bun eating. But I mean, things might have altered a little bit now, so that they don't have to do quite as much. But nevertheless, if you want to do the job properly, then you should be prepared to put a lot of time into it.
Right, thank you for that. Councillor Carr, your comment, please.
Actually, I think Ben and Paul had their hands up before me, but do you want me to speak first anyway?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, okay.
I'm basically opposed to any rules like this. I think whoever is elected onto the council at the annual meeting should choose whoever they think is the best person. That may well be somebody who's brand new, maybe somebody who's very old, very experienced. I've seen a lot of organisations actually purposefully choose people who haven't done the job before, and they've actually seen massive innovation and change in that organisation. So I think often the new and the young can bring as much as the old and the wise, really. And I think it just has to be on merit. To have any sort of ruling that it should be given to the person who's been around the longest. This government's just got rid of its most senior civil servant. It may well replace that person with somebody who's never even been a civil servant before. The French elected a prime minister that had never even been a councillor before. So you know, this is a small organisation in the greater scheme of things, and lots of people have got lots of relevant experience. I just think you should choose the best person for the job.
Okay, thank you for that. I've got Councillor Davis, please.
Yeah, I'll try not to repeat some of the points that people have already raised, but certainly one thing I do agree is that the chair of the council is an extremely important role for us, and therefore it certainly is beholden on us as councillors to try and make sure that we do appoint the best possible person, and this small change helps facilitate that to some degree. I agree with what Doug's saying, that, you know, actually, if anything, we could go further. So I think this, you know, but it is sensible to have a gradual change. It's not a wholesale drop-in of the whole area of experience, but certainly a change that I support for the reasons that Rachel's outlined as well. And in no way does this change diminish the role of the chair, and in fact, you know, we have people who join the parish in the same way as we do in the district in Kirklees, who have immense experience outside in the outside world in terms of chairing meetings, running significant businesses, working within global, regional, and European companies. So there are many people who can bring that value to such a role. So, you know, we should certainly, as a parish council, take those things into consideration when we appoint our chair.
Right. Ben, were you waiting to come on?
Yeah, thank you. I think I just want to say that I feel like we're trying to balance sort of the two roles of the chair. When, you know, authorities like Kirklees Council recognise that you have a leader of the council who's anybody on the council can become the leader, and who is elected based on competency and based on how well they can lead the council for the year. And then you have a mayor who is dedicated and long-serving and ceremonial stuff. And it would make much more sense if we split the two roles up in the parish, so you could have somebody who's maybe been on 4 or 8 or however many years, who could, you know, who's shown that dedication, could do the ceremonial stuff. And then you could also have a leader of the council who could bring in that sort of dynamism that, you know, works so well in so much of the private sector, to sort of drive the council forward. I will vote for these proposals now, but we should really look in the future towards splitting these two roles up, as they're clearly completely different criteria needed for the two different jobs of the chair.
Thank you. Tom.
From my own personal experience, I was approached about being chairman of the council when I was 27, quite a long time ago now, actually. Yeah, feel old. But yeah, I was 27 at the time. I'd been on the council 4 years. There was other people who were older than me who had a bit more life experience, and they'd been on the council the same amount of time as me, but they didn't want to do it. So I was next in line, and I was asked to be chairman.
Okay.
Was I the best person to be the chairman at the time? I don't know. There might have been people who were better than me at it. When I did become the chairman, I had a lot of comments about how I was too young to be chairman, how I shouldn't be a chairman now, and I did get a lot of very nice comments as well. People congratulating me on getting the role, but there was some comments at the start. There were some meetings at the start which I'd expected more experienced councillors to behave better than they did. But so just because you got experience, it doesn't mean that you're going to be better in the role. I've seen tonight there's been times where there's been councillors more experienced than others who have interrupted the chair and broken the council rules and not spoken when they're not spoken to do. So just because you've got a lot of experience in a job and you're doing it, it doesn't mean you can't be better at it than somebody else. And at the end of the year as chairman, a lot of people came up to me and said to me, I had a few apologies actually. A few people came up to me and said, I was wrong what I said, and you've done a good job as chairman. So I think I did all right. And I think people with 3 years experience on the council, they could do all right. I only had 1 more year than they had, and I was only 27. These other people are mentioning had been on the council for 3 years, and they could have been doing numerous jobs and other things in their life experience, which would make them a better chairman than I was after 4 years.
Can I get into Liz?
Yes, certainly. Liz.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kath has some information for you. I'm not sure what, but there we go.
Donald has been trying to get in touch with you. He says somebody's trying to break in onto Zoom.
I've spoken to him on the phone, and I've said that he's not appearing to want to come back in. There's not really anything we can do.
Okay.
So he gives his apologies, and I guess that's one of the problems with Zoom, isn't it?
No, he's still trying to get back in.
Okay. Well, I'm looking to see if he's coming in, but he's not coming in yet.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I've told you anyway.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Right.
Yep. So, looking at the situation we're talking about now, I suppose we've had lots of different things thrown in, different ideas. I'll put my little two-penneth in, if I may, and it would relate to the fact that we've always, for the past 46 years or so, had this fallback position whereby we had standing orders which looked after our needs in ways various. With regard to the 4-year measure, I'd always taken that as meaning that was the term of a council, a 4-year term. Also, at the beginning, prior to being chairman, you spend 12 months as vice chairman, and then once you've done your chairman year, you're then chairman of staffing. So it goes on in a progression in that way, and I just want to. There was a message. There was some information there about a person being chair who hadn't been on council for very long. I can go better than that with a very quick story about a civic function we went to, and a lady there, beguiled in her gold necklace, etc., befriended us. She was on her own and she sat with us and befriended us and wanted to talk. But her biggest fear, she said, was having to speak at this civic do. So the conversation progressed, and she informed us that she'd never ever been to a council meeting. She was elected a councillor a few days prior at a special meeting they held to find a new councillor, and at the same time she was elected as chairman of their council. And it struck me as very odd. I could then understand why she didn't want to speak, and but that clearly pointed out that the council she was representing in had no standing orders to go by, or if they had, they were totally ignoring them. They had no safety fallback at all, and the upshot of that is that council no longer exists. So that's my little input into that. Make of it what you will. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to propose that we go with the change of chairman of the council, must have been on the council for 3 years, vice chairman for 2 years, and remove the idea of progression through the ranks.
Can I second that?
Yeah, this somebody with a hand up here. One moment. Was it Sean?
It's Councillor Firth coming back in, I think.
Oh, right. I could see some.
To audio.
I could see some movement. I couldn't tell what it was. Okay. No, he's not back in anyhow. So we're. Yeah. And Sean appears to have vanished. Just give it a moment with.
That's sound.
Oh, right. Didn't realise that.
Can we have a vote, please, on the proposal?
Yeah, I'm just waiting of Sean coming back, but he's vanished in any event. So we had a proposal, and Donald's back in now, and we had a seconder in the form of, I've forgotten who that was.
It was me, Rachel.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So looking at that section of this agreement, can we look at votes for that to take place? Okay, and can we look at
how many?
We ought to. I'm just trying to count, to be honest. Not very many.
I make that 11.
Okay, and votes against that as a proposition, please. And so I'm mine as well. Yeah.
I can see 4 hands.
Yeah.
And there's Donald.
Yes.
Are you two Bellamy's both got your hands
Yeah,
up?
yeah, certainly am. Yeah.
5.
Well, Sean's back.
Sean, are you voting for this motion or not?
Yeah. Don't know whether Sean can hear us, to be honest. It doesn't look like it.
His
No.
mute's off.
All right. And
Carried anyway, innit?
did you get one from Donald there, Liz?
No.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I missed a good chunk of what was being said there.
Okay. We were just looking at section. Sorry, I'll get the number in a moment.
36.
26.
36.
36.
Standing orders.
Yeah, that's the. Yeah, we're looking at 26, the third one down.
Well, I support the motion.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's fine. Thank you very much. And so be any abstentions on that one, please? No, that's fine. Well, that's that motion is then carried. Thank you for that. And The next item on that one is that councillors submit a committee preference form a week prior to voting taking place. What voting, I would ask firstly, because it doesn't actually say.
No.
Oh, for committees, that's about people standing for committees. So instead of just voting and nominating on the night, there's a sort of an option to say what you want to do before the meeting. So that if there's less than the set number for a committee who want to be on it, then you don't need any voting.
Right. So that I didn't know what that section was about. I didn't know whether it was about voting chairman for the committees or whatever. That was my question. Some hands up there. One moment. Rachel, please.
Yeah, I was just going to expand on what Liz said. Basically, this is just a way of kind of streamlining the discussions in council over who sits on which committee, so that at least everyone can have the opportunity to express their preferences in advance, and then Liz can read out basically if everyone who wants to be on the committee can be on the committee within the numbers suggested within the standing orders, then that's fine. But obviously, if you end up with more people wanting to be on a particular committee than the suggested maximum, then there might need to be some discussion or decisions over which committees people join. I think there was a sense that there's quite a lot of different committees. There's a lot of information and work that goes with sitting in one of those committees, and we sometimes seem to have the scenario where people sign up to become part of a committee and then are unable, for all sorts of reasons, but not to be able to attend many of the meetings, which sort of rather questions whether they're on the committees that they really want to be on. So it's a way of people putting up front what they really want to focus on that year.
Right. Well, if I can just say with regard to that point, Rachel, for many years, it was taken at the decision stage at a council meeting which committee you're going to go on, and as a rule at that time there were 35 councillors, I believe, at that time on the group, and roughly speaking it to work out half and half, and that was left up to councillors to sort out themselves. So what what this is suggesting is a paper version of that verbal one. Yeah. Now then, Jason, I think. No?
Yeah.
Oh, right, sorry, go on.
Yeah, slight amendment on that one. If we was going to do that, I think what might be worth considering is also asking the question: would they, be considered to be the chairman or vice chairman of those committees? Because I think sometimes people get missed out because they're not being nominated, because the people don't know that they want to do it or interested in that role. So I think there's some sort of way people could say, yes, I'm interested in being a chairman, so that the people know who want to be a chairman and vice chairman before the meeting, so we can give them an opportunity.
Yeah. Right. Councillor Dixon, your comment, please.
Yeah, I was just going to propose that we accept the change. I think it would save a lot of time in the meeting and it'd make it a lot easier. I think Jason makes a good idea as well. Maybe on the form, you might just want to tick if you're interested in being the chairman or vice chairman, but like the vice chairman and chairman roles have to be voted on at the committee. But like if people are interested, just put your names forward, something like that. But yeah, I propose the change to the standing orders.
Yeah. If I can put an overview onto that one, which I've been trying to do all the way through with all these. With regard to that last section, we have with 5 political groups on this council, and basically what we've had previously is a system whereby each one of those members of any particular group, any of the 5 groups, was eligible to become vice chair or chairman, etc. all we want to make sure is that none of these decisions are made on the wrong basis. We want to make sure that our preference for vice chair or chair is done on a reasonable basis, not on a basis relating to a political organisation or anything else. That's what I feel about that one. Let us do it on merit one way or another. Yeah. Right. Who are we on? Councillor Dalton, I think, first. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Standing order 3W. We've now exceeded 2 hours. This meeting needs to close, and the remaining items need to be deferred to another meeting.
Yeah. I accept what you're doing. We spoke about it earlier on and realised there was a vast number of things on this agenda. It was spoken on as if it was an expectation it would need to be a little bit longer than our 2 hours. So we'll go back to that in a moment. I've had somebody else with a hand up. I'll not wait a minute. Rachel.
Sorry, I know what you're saying, Councillor Bellamy, but I'd question whether you'd say there's 5 political groupings, because I know there's a number of us who are independent councillors and would not like to be described as being in a grouping. I certainly wouldn't regard myself as in a group.
Yeah, so that's fine. Well, that is your prerogative, quite obviously. Councillor Brooke.
Yeah, what I was suggesting is that they put their, interest on that form when they want to, vote into one group. Then, obviously, when we go to the meeting to, vote for the chairman, vice chairman, it is done like the old way that people know who wants to be interested, and we can nominate them to be in it. It's just like up forward information who is interested in the role before the night, and then it's done fair and square. Politics don't come into it then. It's the right person doing the right job if they want to do it.
Okay.
It's just saving time trying to find somebody sometimes.
Right. Tom, go ahead.
Chair, I made a proposal, like the bit about vice chair and chair is not even on this standing order point.
No, it isn't.
So we're just discussing stuff which is not on the agenda and going over time. Like, we need to get a move on, really. So
yep.
Just that we and vote on this.
Now it's being suggested, because of the 2 hour time scale, that we should stop the meeting as from now. We've had our 2 hours worth. Do we wish to do that?
Or... I propose that we continue to 9:30, if that's okay with everybody else.
I don't know, just yes.
Point of order,
Councillor
Mr.
Dalton.
Chairman.
Councillor Bellamy. Councillor Bellamy. Councillor Bellamy. Can you hear me?
Don't know.
Councillor Firth, is that?
Councillor Bellamy.
Councillor Firth, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm using my wife's iPad because for some unknown reason the computer's actually backed in altogether. So I'm on my wife's iPad now. I've missed half the meeting because it kept coming and going. I've sent information back to the clerk from the Zoom. Somebody's been trying to break.
Oh, that would appear to have gone
again.
That's vanished. Councillor Dalton, please go ahead.
Yeah, the standing orders are not optional. The standing orders are written for a reason. The meeting needs to be drawn to a close. Item 3W of the standing orders apply, and I need your ruling on that. I mean, the standing order says a meeting shall not exceed a period of 2 hours. And it tells you what to do in in the event of it getting there. So can we draw this meeting to a close and defer the rest of the items to another meeting, please?
Yes.
And Donald's come back on.
Oh,
He's-
Donald's
he's-
back on.
he's
Right.
muted.
So that's fair and square. Are we all in agreement with that? We've fulfilled our obligation, the 2-hour obligation. And we're told now
Chairman, I
that,
made a proposal that we could continue to 9:30. If the council votes on that, we are allowed to do that.
Where's the vote on?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah, I want to support that as well.
Mr. Chairman.
yes, fire away. Go ahead, Councillor Dalton.
I made a point of order. It's for you to rule on it. It's
Yes.
not for discussion or to vote or to suggest that we shouldn't apply a standing order because it's not convenient. We've got standing orders.
Yes.
As chairman, you to rule on it. It's not up for discussion with
Chair,
others.
point
It's
of
for you to rule
order.
on.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
We can vote to suspend standing orders for half an hour if we choose to.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That can be.
I suggest we do that.
That can be done.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Could the previous point of order, the councillor who raised the point of order didn't state the standing order to which she's referring. Could you please refer to that?
Right, do we have a vote?
Mr. Chairman, can we just, Mr. Councillor Dalton's made a comment. He's left it to you to make a decision. If you would like to ask the council to continue for half an hour, it is within your right. If you don't, you can come close the meeting. It is up to you as Mr. Chairman.
Yes, absolutely.
He has made a comment. I would ask Mr. Chairman that we continue to 9:30 to just conclude necessarily information. Then we can pass on all the other stuff to next meeting.
My next move before we conclude is asking our clerk and deputy clerk if there are any items that we haven't got to yet which are critical for their work. Is there anything which is going to leave you in a poor position if we haven't discussed it?
Well, I think the main things are agreeing the schedule of meetings, because I've slightly changed it at the end of July. So I've had to add another one. So what I've done is put the grants working party on the 27th of July and the planning committee on the 3rd of August before the break. And the other thing was to set a date for elections. I think that's a major issue, but that might not be to anyone else.
But would that wait adequately until the next meeting?
Well, if you wait till the next meeting, it means that the vote can't happen before September. But that might be all that was going to happen anyway.
Okay, and that was a vote for.
That was a vote to decide when you were going to hold your elections for the chairman and the vice chairman and the committees for next year.
Yeah. Okay. That's okay. Yes. Let's. Who have we got here? Rachel, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to clarify. There's a in our standing orders 1R. It says when a motion is under debate, no other motion should be moved except, and under IX, to suspend particular standing order X, except those which reflect mandatory statutory requirements. Well, the standing order we'd be looking at suspending is 3W, which Councillor Dalton correctly identified, and it says the motion should be moved and put to the vote. So if we take a vote to suspend that standing order and extend the meeting to cover those two matters of the schedule of meetings and the considering dates for the chairman and vice chairman and other committees, and the clerk is content that the rest can be pushed on to the next meeting and deferred, then I think we should move that to the vote.
I think also we need to vote on what we've just been talking about before this discussion as well.
Yeah.
I didn't get that at all, sorry.
Well, it seems sensible to vote on what you've been discussing for the last half an hour.
Yes, we've an item here. We haven't had a vote on.
No.
This is the committee preference. In the form of a form 1 week before committees are instated. So is everyone happy with that as a concept?
Yeah.
Yeah. By a show of hands, if you would, please. That's one. That's that one dealt with, and we've now an option looking at the two things which perhaps we could do in the next few minutes is look at the items that in theory would cause a problem to wait, or if you would like to see that happen, that's fine. If you would have a preference for calling it a draw at this stage and doing that at the next meeting, equally fine. It's been proposed that we can carry on till 9:30 as a suggestion. If that's been seconded, which it has, and that'll give us sufficient time to go down these two items which are deemed to be fairly pressing for tonight, and then the rest of it will leave until next meeting. Yeah. Okay. Is anybody unhappy with that, or shall we do that?
Yeah.
Yes. I propose we do
Okay.
that, yeah.
Well, let's have a look what we're actually having a look at. The
Point number 38, Mr. Chairman, is that helpful?
38. I'm going to have to put a light on. I can't see. Or light a candle, whichever we do. That's better. Right, we're looking to approve the schedule of meetings from 27th of July and through to May 2021. Now, I know Liz pointed out one change, I believe, and schedule now takes us up to May 21, whether we have online meetings or back to meetings in person. There is a slight adjustment in timetable for the end of July and beginning of August. It's proposed that the Grants Working Party takes up the extra week on 27th July, and that planning moves to the 3rd of August, which is a preferred spacing for them. Has anybody given any thought to that or seen any advantages, disadvantages? Tom,
Can
go
I
ahead.
propose that, Mr. Chairman?
Oh,
Propose that we accept it.
you're happy with that. Are we a second for that? Yeah, fine. And a show of hands if we're happy with that, please. If we're unhappy, can you again show of hands for?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think it's appropriate for Tom to make a comment like that because he'll not be available at that time.
Okay.
He'll have other things keeping him awake on a night.
Had he forgotten, do you think?
Won't do when he gets there.
Tom. So right, that one's dealt with. And what was the other one, Liz? The
number 39, Mr. Chairman.
Number
39.
39. Consider a date for the council to hold elections for the chairman and vice chairman of the council, chairman and members of committees. Now that would.
Mr. Chairman, could I just make a comment, please?
Yes, please do.
I think it's unfair. It's unfair for somebody like Rachel, who's been vice chairman for 18 months, to come in and just have 6 months of a job. I think it should be left to remain as chairman of the council till the end of the next year, and that Rachel has a full year to be chairman, rather than just having a part year. It's not fair for somebody just to have a part year. And
okay.
The situation as it is now, there might be no way or no function, nothing that she can expel herself or can go to. And I would like to say, leave things as they are as regards the chairman and vice chairman of the council till next May, and then the chairman can have a full year.
Okay.
Can I just say though, Chair, that we voted at the last meeting to have an election. So we've already decided that. The issue is when.
Yes.
Next May.
That's at the discretion of the council, of course, isn't it? Let's have a look. Di, please, your comments.
Yeah, I'm just reiterating what Liz has said. We voted on this at the last meeting, that the officers would change this year. It's been voted on, so it's got to go ahead that yes, we do select new chair and vice chair this year. Sorry, Mr. Dixon.
And it's unfair on the incoming chairman.
You look back on the minutes of the last meeting.
I know all about that.
Who is that individual that says it has to do? Councillor Bellamy, who's the individual that says it has to take place now?
Nobody has as yet, I don't think.
Yeah, no, it was voted on at the last meeting, and that was passed. We would have elections in this current year.
Thank you, Liz.
Right, let's have a look. Tom, go ahead.
I think there were other people before me, but I'm just going to butt in anyway. So I'm going to propose that we do it at the next full council meeting. I think it just needs to be done sooner rather than later. And it might be that the chair might not decide not to, the current vice chairman might not decide to do it. It's up to them really, but I think it's good to have a change every so often. And I don't want to be chairman of Cask anymore because my dad's mentioned I'm going to be very busy. So yeah, so I think we need to have an election next meeting sooner rather than later.
Right, Jason.
Councillor Carey were first.
Hey?
Councillor Carey were first.
All right.
Actually, I think Mary Black has had a hand up.
Mary. We'll go with Mary then.
I mean, I was going to suggest, because of our experience tonight, which hasn't been great, has it, that I think it would be very difficult to go through voting for committee membership and chair and vice chair whilst we're still doing remote meetings. So I don't think we can really do it justice until we can actually meet in person.
Okay.
In September.
Okay. Councillor Brooke.
Yeah, it's just regarding the comments. It could be possible that we could ask Councillor Hogley to hold on for another 6 months, you know, as vice chairman, and another chairman just takes that place for the next 6 months, who's had experience or something like that, or somebody else just wants to do it for 6 months. So that Councillor Hogley could have a full experience from next May, if that was being interested to the committee at the time. Well, that would be voted on in either 20th of July or 21st of September, whenever we meet as in persons. That could be a solution for this situation.
Right, Councillor Davis.
Thanks. It's a question really to Liz. Is it possible to look at the next term of office over an 18-month period? So we would have, as Trevor is our chair now, he carries on for 6 months into this year, and then Rachel would be 6 months of this year and then take up the 12 months. So Trevor would have 18 months and Rachel would have 18 months. I know it's unusual circumstances, but is there anything to stop us doing that?
I don't think we're allowed to do that.
Can you check on that?
I can check on it, but I think we've been given permission to carry on till May.
Yeah. No, just a question.
Permission to carry on into the following year.
Right. Well, if I can just comment on Councillor Davis's suggestion, I do know some of the councils are actually doing that.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, are they?
Yes, without a doubt.
Councillor Carey, don't forget Councillor Carey.
There he is. Councillor Carey.
Yeah, I guess the issue for me isn't so much just about this, it's about the annual meeting, because it's not just about the chair and the vice chair, it's about all the committees, who's on all the committees. And I do think we can do it by Zoom. And I do think if people made their preferences clear in advance, it would make that a lot easier for us to vote that through. Like Tom, I think that could be done as soon as possible. I was going to suggest a September meeting, but I don't see any reason why that couldn't happen at the July meeting. I think there's every chance we may still be having Zoom meetings for well into the autumn and possibly into the new year. So I'd rather we actually took those votes now and got the new people in position as soon as possible. You can see quite a few thumbs up appearing on the screen. So I support Tom's motion of doing it as soon as possible.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Hall.
Yeah, I think we're just going over stony ground here. It's already been arranged. It's been passed. We got the full vote that we were changing chair, vice chair to chair. But to my knowledge, there's no reason why it can't go ahead. The next full council meeting, that means that the new chairman would only out on 6 weeks out of 12 months, because they wouldn't have been taking over this position while the middle of May. So what's the problem?
Did you hear that?
Not properly, no.
I'm sorry, Di. We sort of heard half of your transmission.
Sorry, I'm just saying that all this has been voted on at the last meeting, that we were changing chair and vice chair and chairman. It's gone through. It's like I was quickly shut down in flames about the air one, that one. Yeah. But this one, to me, if it can go ahead, then the chair and vice chair and you are only missing out on about 6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks out of the year, because they wouldn't have been taking over while the beginning of the middle of May anyway. If this can go ahead and be sorted, the next full council, according to this new thing, is the 20th of July. So what's the problem?
Right. Looking at the options there, the very thing that does require time spending on it is preparing our vice chair with all the items that are coming up, all the things that are going on, because it's unbelievably busy at the moment, and we do need the chance to talk, to look at time scales, because it's not just me we're talking about. It's our vice chair as well. So we need to look at those elements. And
Mr. Chairman, can I make a proposal? Mr. Chairman,
go ahead.
Can I make a proposal that normally in February we do like a chairman-elect, vice chairman-elect. Can we propose for the July meeting that we do a chairman-elect, vice chairman-elect to take over in September?
Yep.
So that you've got a time to get things organised.
Yeah. Are you speaking, Tom? Or did you hear that proposal then?
Yeah.
Were you backing that?
Yeah. No, I think 3 weeks is long enough to get things sorted out for a new chairman and vice chairman. When I became chairman, the previous person who was vice chairman didn't stand in the election, so there was nobody to take over. And basically, I was told at about a week's notice, something like that, I was going to be chairman. So I think for 3 weeks' notice, I think it gives a chance for people to think about whether they want to be chairman or vice chairman. It's quite a quick decision, really. You have to say yay or nay. But like,
well,
it'll give people like a week or so, 3 weeks to think about it. I think
Okay.
that's enough.
We've just heard. Okay, thank you. We've just heard Jason's proposal. Are you wanting to talk on that, Doug?
Who's up?
Doug? Okay.
I think Di wants to speak.
Di, yeah, yes.
Can I just say that if we follow the way we've always done and gone through the progression through the ranks, there should be no problems because we know who will be next in line for what task. And that puts them putting forward to that next meeting to vote those people. What's happened in the past is that they've had a phone call with the people. Would they be willing to take it on? So you know on the night, yes, whether they are or whether they aren't, and it follows down the list.
Yep, you're quite right. So, to be honest, Jason's proposal was quite a doable situation. That didn't get any second in, and we didn't have a vote on it. Do you want to do that? Would you like to do?
Tom.
Hello, Tom. Go ahead.
Can I propose that we vote on who's going to be the next chairman and vice chairman at the next council meeting and sort out all the committees then? So just sort it out next week. So the first agenda point would be the new chairman, and then we would pass it over. That's my proposal. And
you're suggesting that should be for all the committees and everything else?
Yeah, yeah.
And starting at the September meeting.
Yeah, and I'm just a bit concerned that we're about a couple of months into the council year, and I can understand with all the stuff that's been going on that we've had a bit of a delay with things, but I think we kind of need to get moving, and once we get moved on, things will move a lot quicker and a lot better.
Mm-hmm. So are we? Rachel, go ahead.
I'm happy to second what Councillor Dixon just said. I'm just conscious that doesn't the formal appointment of chair and vice chair have to happen at the annual meeting of the council? I'm sure it's got a specific name. So we need to make sure that the full council meeting that's held, whether it has to be preceded by the annual meeting of the council, I'm not sure, because I know there's normally that process, because it's like the first item on the agenda. There's something formal that I've seen somewhere that says the first item on the agenda is making the chair. So we just need to make sure if we do that, we do it properly, so there's no danger of people saying that it wasn't done under the necessary processes for it.
Okay.
I think it's
Chairman.
Yes, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, normally what happens is that we do like in February's meeting, we do elect and chairman and vice chairman, as you know, but on hold till that meeting. What I'm suggesting is that in the July meeting, we do what we normally do in February. So in September, or we have that full council meeting where, chairman, does that role. That's what I'm suggesting. That basically, July 20th, we elect, or in principle, the chairman and vice chairman of the council for the September meeting to take over, where it's done. It will be a public meeting.
Yep. Councillor Roberts.
Can I say it is now 21:29.
Right.
It's just about time to close this meeting.
It is.
We have extended it by half an hour.
Yep.
Can we take a vote on
So we're looking at.
Mr. Chairman, for once, I think Jason's got it right. We'll stick with I'll second with what he said. Let's decide in July what we're going to do. And
In September.
We'll take over in September.
Yeah. Okay. So can we look at support for that as an idea? At least we've got his dates there.
I'll second that.
Well, somebody has done it, so all right.
Oh.
Yeah. Right. Okay, well, there isn't an agreement for tonight. The meeting's about 1 minute to go. So.
It's 21:30.
Yeah.
Can we vote on this, Chair, please?
We shall. We'll have to take this issue to the next meeting. That's all we can do.
You've got Tom's proposal still on the table.
No, we can take the vote, Trevor. Just take the vote.
Not the vote on Tom's motion.
Yeah. Was mine seconded? Was my proposal seconded?
What was it?
My proposal was that we sort everything out of the next meeting. We got, and I think Doug's has just seconded me. So we've got my proposal, we've got Jason's proposal.
Yeah.
I suggest that we just take both
And what was the difference between?
Well,
they were
Jason's.
We were looking at a selection at the next meeting.
Jason's was to have a chairman elect, so the chairman wouldn't take over until September.
No, sorry, we can barely hear you, Tom.
Sorry, Jason's suggestion was that we'd have a chairman elect, so the chairman elect would take over then in September rather than have the next meeting.
Yes.
And my suggestion is that we elect a new chairman and chairman of committees at the next meeting. And it may be that we have to have an annual meeting, but I'll bow down to what Liz and Rich do with an organisation of that, what Rachel suggested.
That's right.
Yeah, but my suggestion is to elect them at the next meeting, and it's been seconded. So I think we just need to have a vote on this and just move on.
Yep.
Close the meeting.
Okay, well, we certainly need to make sure that we're legal, that we're doing things correctly.
But also as well, Jason's proposal has been seconded as well, so you need to take Jason's vote first, and then I think it would be best to take mine, because Jason's put his through and has been seconded, so we don't want to forget about that.
So, subject to the proposal being legal, Jason's proposal was that we look at the next meeting, we make the selection of chairs, vice chairs, etc. Look at committee memberships.
No, Mr. Chairman, my proposal was that we elect the chairman and vice chairman. You know, so that the vice chairman elect, and then in September we look at all the other roles. But we give the new vice chairman elect time to get up to speed with what's going on.
Okay, did everyone get that? And that was the first proposal, and it's been seconded. Can we look for support on that, please? Yeah, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by the look of it. Yeah.
What about against?
And votes against that as an idea, please. 1, 2, 3, 4,
5.
And there's 4 there. Have we got
any abstentions?
Any abstentions, please? Yes, we've abstention on that one. 2 with that. So that proposal goes through.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do a report on my activities. I'll save that all next meeting. I think we've had enough tonight. Thank you very much for your attendance. You've done 2.5 hours. It's been quite good. And I thought it would have actually gone a lot longer than that. It would actually if it had gone all the way through. But thank you for your attendance tonight. And see you next month.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.